Great. So we will go over just Facebook ads. I do really like Facebook ads. And again, I can absolutely see where really with any kind of ad type concept that's out there, it would be difficult to know exactly the kind of quality of leads. So that's, Eric, like I said, I 100% get where you're coming from on that hesitation. So by no means does everyone have to do this or anything like that. Margot just said that she can hear us, but we can't hear her. I wonder if she's on mute. I'll take a look, Margot. But it's something that I just want to expose you guys to, because even though if you don't want to do it paid, you can still use some of these principles as well for just the engagement, like what Kay and Virgil were talking about. So I think it certainly is worth it. So on this agenda, we're talking about why, understanding Facebook ads and objectives, the new rules of targeting. The targeting on Facebook has really changed a lot. And that is where it's important for us to keep up with that, because they're constantly changing the algorithm, just like Google's SEO. And that's kind of their game. Otherwise, people would be able to rule it really easy, and then they wouldn't have as high engagement either. Creating your ad and choosing your audience. Choosing the audience is a big thing, and we'll go more into that as well. Lead response and conversion, and then Facebook ads examples. So Facebook is huge. We all know that there's roughly 2.5 billion people on Facebook. So it's certainly a good number of people to be able to market to. You're able to create awareness, increase your database, generate leads, and keep repeat and referral business. So for me, I think that's where I've had good success myself, is more in category 4, because a lot of times I'll add clients as I meet them if I feel like we had a good connection, or after their transaction closes, depending on the situation or how comfortable they seem like they would feel with that. So the reason that I do that is, 1, that way we can keep interacting with each other. But then 2, as I post ads and stuff like that, then I'm able to keep reenacting with them really easy. So I have this like organic actual relationship with them on Facebook, but then I'm still able to market with them as well. So you'll need a business ad, you'll need a Facebook business page. You'll need to have testing done, like be able to kind of play with the numbers. So I wouldn't expect something immediately. And that is where it was difficult for me at first, where I was wanting something, you know, almost instant, because I was brand new to the industry. And so I didn't really have much of a budget spend, but with patience, it all kind of came through. And then a good lead follow-up system. I already talked about patience, which I think is ironic that they put that in there, because naturally the kind of personality type that gravitates for any of us towards sales is not typically a super patient person. But the follow-up is definitely important. Does everybody have some sort of a CRM that they use to follow up with people? Or does anybody not, I guess I should say? Okay, so I love CRM. You're able to put people in and then it emails them and stuff like that. But one of the things I'm finding is people really don't care about emails anymore. They find it kind of annoying. So I do still think it's good depending on what the content is. Because like, for example, HomeBot emails people and they love that. So it really just depends on what that content is. But that's where I'm still trying to find a good system outside of CRM where I can kind of set it, get it, and then like go into it every now and again when I'm not so busy. So look at Facebook ads as like passive or interest-based ads. So with that, like I was saying earlier, I'm trying to post stuff that's just going to gain their interest. And what I love about it is, again, you're going to get those analytics on there to see what people really engaged with. So if you had some sort of that did really well, then you're able to rerun those ads later. And that's another thing, it saves it for you. So it's really, really nice to be able to start using this as a tool and then see what's working for you and what's not. So the objectives are to create awareness, consideration, and then conversion. So awareness would be, you know, for me, trying to tell people, hey, rates are really low right now. You might want to consider buying a house now because you could probably afford that one you liked easier, or you could afford more if you weren't able to get what you wanted before. And then maybe let's have a conversation about what that looks like for you. For you guys, it could be the market's still really hot. Rates are really low. It's a really good recipe for people to go ahead and still buy. The consideration there, you could use the same thing. Like I said, you could probably afford more one way or the other. Let's talk about what your actual payment would look like. And then you could use that on HomeBot and enroll them. So that way they're already getting that for the marketplace. And that's where you would convert them, because you want to at some point get them more than just on Facebook. You want to be able to get them starting engaging with you. And I think that HomeBot's a really good tool to do that. Does everyone remember how to add a new buyer on HomeBot?
Yes.
Great. So like we talked about, you're not necessarily selling here for the awareness. You're just wanting to create awareness. And I know that that sounds kind of weird because there's no call to action necessarily right there, but it really does create a good option for all of us to be able to start obtaining people's interest. And once we have their interest, then we can start getting their consideration. People in this stage have a plan to buy or sell a house and are considering their options. So because we've already given them that information that they probably would need for the consideration, then it's a lot easier for us to approach them. And depending on the way that you have your Facebook set up, you can sometimes even see who's engaged with your posts. Like if you've made an ad and then you also put that in your stories, in stories, just like when we talked about on Instagram, you can literally see everyone who's engaged with your story. So even if they're not technically your friends, then that's another way to start marketing toward people. Conversion. I feel like conversion is pretty obvious. The goal is to, reach out to them and somehow take that next step with them on you advising them. So creating a Facebook ad. So there's Facebook Ads Manager and then Business Manager. We're talking specifically about Facebook Ads Manager. They do have different apps set up. This is specifically what the Ads Manager looks like. I like that the logo itself is different looking pretty drastically than the Facebook Business Page Manager. So you can download that on your phone, like using the website on my computer. I just feel like it's faster here. This is what it looks like on an actual computer. So you would just hit create, add. You can manage your ads. You can look at the ad center. So if we're going to create the ad, like I said, that's what it's going to do. Special ad category. You're creating a campaign for ads in a special ad category, and that category is going to be housing. You can start choosing what it is you're wanting to do. So brand awareness or reach. I probably would start out with brand awareness instead of reach, so that way we start getting people engaged. Engage. So reach, like I was saying, there's just those two different options. For what we're talking about, brand awareness could make more sense. But depending on what your strategy is, like Michelle, reach may make sense for you for Homes for Heroes than brand awareness, because you're trying to get out there and get in front of as many people as possible with a product that chances are most could benefit from, or they know someone that could benefit from it. Whereas if we were talking about the housing market or for some home buyers, then I would say brand awareness, because then that's more of a slow thing. But because that's such a niche for you, that's automatically going to be a higher conversion ratio, because it's already something of literal value that you're offering to the consumer. Okay. So now we're just going down the consideration. So there's traffic, the more people to destination, such as a website or a messenger. So this we could talk about for like HomeBot. For engagement, so with Facebook, the way that it works, the more people that start engaging with you, the more often you're going to show up in their feed. And the more often you show up in their feed, the more likely you're able to just connect with them on an organic basis, like what Virgil and Kay were saying, which is great because then one, you're not having to spend the money, but then two, you're organically already connected with them. So wherever they go on Facebook, you should start showing up in their feed more often to become part of their community. So then if they're seeing you, then chances are their friends are going to start seeing you and stuff like that too, as long as they're actually engaging with you guys. Video views, I don't know specifically if you guys want to do video views like for houses and things of that nature. I don't really have too of an intelligent opinion on that since I'm not an agent. I will say that I think it's cool that it's on there. Eric, what were you going to say?
I tested doing videos to get seller leads and it didn't work. I did it for a month or two and then I stopped and I went back to the single page ad and just a link of whatever city I was targeting or zip or whatever areas I was targeting. But I mean, video views, I guess, could be good for awareness, but for lead generation, no. You would think the opposite because Facebook does like videos.
Right.
People like watching them, so what difference? And I seem to have that problem in Constant Contact. I put my videos in all of my campaigns, all 30 of them, and I have very few people opening my videos. So I need to just do the video separately without all the other stuff in my campaign. I mean, Donna knows what my campaigns look like, and I have a lot of stuff in my campaigns, but I think I need to do the video separate.
That
as a campaign by itself is what I'm trying to say.
And that's great that you have that awareness because you've been in there working with it and stuff like that. And I would agree. I like seeing the videos of listings. I'm curious on like how well it actually works for agents, depending on the quality of video. Like Don's been having some really awesome drone footage of some showings. And to me, it's like, I stop on my feed if I see those kind of things because it's like, oh my gosh, it's really cool because that's still new type of video, one that we're not really used to seeing. But then two, it's like a totally different way of seeing a house in a neighborhood. So I think that likely has higher engagement than just walking around the house like on a cell phone, which used to kind of be like that. Donna, we should talk about posting those, even if those listings are gone. That might be some sort of a way to start creating some traffic for you as far as being a listing agent to potential people. Like we could create that like in stories or something like that. So maybe we should talk about that more to see if that actually helps. And then lead generation. So again, lead generation is okay. I wouldn't lean too hard into that right away. All the stuff that I've really got is from the brand awareness. Like Michelle, I was saying reach would probably work for you because it's a little bit of both. But for me, it's just creating brand awareness. I've legitimately out because the stuff that I've posted online or on Facebook and started asking me questions about mortgages or real estate in the market, or if I know a realtor. And then we just start having that conversation. And then I ask them for their email or stuff like that. And then I start just sending them information every now and again that feels like relevant. And then I kind of just wait for them. So here's what the ads can look like.
Mm-hmm.
And depending on how you have it, like you could have the photos edited and stuff like that to where it looks really nice. And then this is obviously a sort of lead conversion directly. And do you guys have luck with that? I don't know how well that's done there. I mean, I think that this looks nice. I just don't know how successful this format is anymore if it's just to view a home Whereas like HomeBot, it's the same setup, but that's something that's actually really exciting, I feel, to consumers. Does anybody have an opinion on if it's worth doing it this way or not?
The first one is the way I was doing it.
Okay. And you were saying that you didn't.
Then you would put in the link in the back screen. You would put in the link, so when they press learn more, it would go right to that landing page.
Gotcha.
And I love method, so.
I really love the accessibility of it and like how organized it is and how much easier it is for us. But I just don't know specifically if a listing is enough information anymore for people to just to fork over their email. And that's where, when we're talking about Facebook ads, I do think that this is a great concept, but this is where I think using something like HomeBot would make a lot more sense as far as getting that conversion, because we've all testified to that. Sorry, Eric, what did you say?
You mean putting HomeBot in there as an ad to get them? That could work.
Yeah, and that's I don't think you were on the video call yet when we were going over that. But what we did was Carrie just went ahead and used the shareable link, and it was just pre-formatted, and you know, like click here to find out what your home. Just had like a stock photo of a really modern, like kind of farmhouse-esque vibe. And she had 3 people sign up by the time we were done with the call. And so it was pretty impressive to see that, because it wasn't even a Facebook ad. So I think if we did something like that as a Facebook ad, we'd have quite a bit of success. Has anybody given thought to that?
What'd you say?
Has anybody given thought to using HomeBot for Facebook ads specifically?
I would like to do that.
I think that could be a really good idea, and that might be something that we do for a workshop next week. But that's where it's going to cost money, and so, you know, money is always it's always relevant. So we could go through that next week, and I could just show on my side what it looks like live, and then see what kind of an actual engagement we get, and whoever wants to follow along can. But I totally get it if people don't want to, because we don't know what the rate of return is going to be there. We've already gone through the objective.
Excuse me, Rob, when you talk about money, what kind of money are you talking about for these ads?
So what's really cool, let me see if I can find a screenshot. Eric, were you going to say something? I'm sorry.
$5 a day, $10 a day, or just doing a lifetime budget?
Yeah.
Okay. Does it go according to how many times people click on it, or how is it charged?
Yeah, so where it's different from Google Ads. Google Ads is how many clicks you get, and you can set that limit. But with Facebook, the way that it typically is you set a limit per day, like what Eric was saying. They'll say, okay, great, you'll probably get exposure of up to like 20 to 30 people with this budget. But that's where I like being able to be in control of that. You can say daily, or you can say this lifetime here. I know that that's not a very pretty circle, but that way you can really see where you're spending your money. So I've done it before where I tested it literally for $10 just to see what kind of attraction I got. And, you know, I got a few interactions out of it, and it was good to see that, as opposed to me spending like $300 and just not really getting much. So you can run those same ads again after you've got a chance to play around with it and like experiment, if that makes sense. Does that answer your question there?
Thank you.
Great. So you can make it super affordable, and that is what I like about it, but your exposure rate just may not be that high.
Rob?
Yes, ma'am.
I did that several years ago, you know, with the $5 a day or whatever it was. And then when I didn't want it anymore, I had a heck of a time trying to get a hold of anybody to cancel it. They did not leave any numbers, and so when I got into it, it was really hard to get out of it. That's all I know.
Sounds like a bit of a nightmare.
Yeah, well,
I'm sorry to hear that. So in my experience, I do agree with you, Kay. It's hard to get a hold of people actually on the phone anymore with these kind of tech companies. They want you to use their page or email or something like that. So there's ways to cancel the ads online. Let's see if we have a screenshot here.
Yeah, I've never had a problem canceling. Yeah.
With you, Eric, did you have a hard time?
I don't think I had a problem with getting huge Facebook when they would charge my card, and then I was like, oh, I got to get money in my business account, otherwise, you know, I'm going to get overdraft charges. So I would have to constantly look at my business account because I didn't like the fact that they usually hit my account right at the end of the month when I have the least amount of money.
Yeah. That's the way they get your card and then you have to almost call the bank to cancel it.
So that is something to be aware of specifically as well, to make sure that when you're signing up for it, that you see when it's going to be coming out and everything like that. Because I totally get that. Just like with any reoccurring fee, it can be a nuisance really quickly.
I was spending like $1,000 as high as $1,500 in some months last summer on Facebook.
Wow.
And we were getting so many leads, and it was very hard to go door knock all of them.
Yeah.
I mean, I did the best I could, but
that's
So
where
with that, I'm curious how many you converted to an actual sale.
zero. Facebook ads it's spent a year and a half to 2 years conversion if they're seller leads. Sometimes you'll get lucky, like that lady in Los Angeles. That was pretty lucky. I mean, she clicked around Christmas time, and then I met her January, and then we made the listing appointment in the beginning of April. So I mean, that was a rare exception, and I've had that happen before. But most Facebook seller leads are a year to 2 years out.
Okay, so if you were spending like $1,000 to $1,500 a month last year, what kind of return did you get?
I haven't gotten a return yet.
Okay, that concerns me, to put out that kind of money and not have a return.
I mean, I have several people that I've gotten their information and met them in person at their door, and they're opening their stuff in Constant Contact. So maybe one day, you know, those could, and that's just not just Northeast Mesa, but Evandale, Santan Valley, Queen Creek, Southeast Gilbert.
So I think with Facebook ads, any kind of ads, we want to make sure that we're really, and Eric, I'm not saying this by any means, but where I've had success is I've just had an ad where I feel like it's genuinely good information that anyone would actually like, not just like some post. And then once I have that on there and people start engaging with it, I start engaging with them too. So where I love it on Facebook versus like Google or something is I can keep that relationship going with them one way or another, because my conversion was less than 3 months before I found someone. And so even though by that point I had spent like $600, I got a deal, and I made like $2,500 back, or, you know, whatever that ended up being. So my rate of return was significant on that. So I'm just curious if we could find a way to where that wins for everyone, since I totally agree with what you're saying. With what Donna's saying is that's kind of scary to be spending that kind of money if it's not actually going to work. And that is also where I like, you can start small with like $5 a day or $1 a day, or just a lifetime of $25, and just see what works. So that way you don't end up spending a whole bunch of money and then have a hard time canceling it. I never really had issues as far as trying to find someone, but I do recognize that at the end of the day, we're kind of selling different products. So it is different, but I know several people who use Facebook ads as agents, and they have really good success with it. I think it all just might be trying to find that right audience that appeals to who we are as well. What do you guys think about that?
I think that's, yeah, you got to get the right audience for sure.
Right.
Well, who are you marketing towards? You're trying to find buyers so you can get them pre-qualified. You're going to have shorter nurturing time in order to get them to that.
Right. So are you just specifically looking for sellers?
I was, yeah.
Okay,
Because
gotcha.
when I was doing Facebook ads for an open house, they never turned in any. I mean, I did it just because I did it because it was part of my protocol, but
Hmm.
I never got an actual real lead from it. I had a lot of people that clicked on it, but when it came to trying to get a hold of them, they never answered their phone. So
Okay, interesting. Then I wonder if next week when we go over the workshop, how we'll have success. Because like, depending on buyers, like maybe this is just something we all need to do for buyers. Like Michelle specifically, if you advertise the credit that you give for Homes for Heroes and some sort of a visual, I'm sure that you would have people start responding right away, even if they're not veterans, because everyone wants free money and then figuring that out. Now, the quality of that, it's always kind of, you don't necessarily know exactly how that's going to work out. But that is where something, it really just depends on which type of client that we're marketing to. And that's where I always like to market toward people that were relocating and use those keywords in the back end. So that way we have that.
yeah,
So
if you're advertising a certain kind of home, like homes with an RV garage or homes on a waterfront golf course or homes, something specific about the type of home. Because the more specific you can be about finding those kind of buyer leads, then I think it could work. But if you just say homes in Northeast Mesa or homes in Santan Valley, it's not going to work.
right,
Because
that's still kind of generic, and there's so many different types of homes.
They're looking for a certain type of home.
Right. So I think that's good for us to know, and that is definitely where. Sorry, I have so many emails coming through, you guys. With Facebook, you're really going to want to pay attention to the detailed targeting section, so that way you have your demographics correct, the interests and the behaviors. So that way you're not getting the wrong people. You can sort it by age, you can sort it by gender. They even where you could sort it by like household income earnings and stuff like that. They did away with that because that could be seen as discriminating one way or another. So they corrected that.
No, in last October, everything changed.
They changed a lot. Yes, you're absolutely right. So I think that's where identifying specifically the ideal client for you guys, as far as what you feel like is realistic, is really important before we start spending money on ads. Unless you're just wanting to kind of play around with it and just spend a little bit of money here and there, as far as like $10 to $20 goes on an ad, just to see how it goes. And that's where something we can set it up in a workshop where we all potentially test different things. So you can have people that living in or recently in this location. So like someone that was maybe visiting here, people specifically living in this location, because on Facebook, you can type in where you live. You can have it separately where people were recently in this location, or people that were traveling in the location as well. So it'll analyze a lot from their posts and stuff like that. Or you guys can go zip codes if you wanted to try and go like the local celebrity vibe, where you're really, really hyper zoned in on specific zip codes. I've had agents do that here in the metro, specifically in the Gilbert and Chandler area, and they've had good success with that. As far as the age group goes, I've had people go more from like 40 to 65, or sometimes if it's like a home buyer, they go like 24 to 39 for first time home buyer, depending on the ad. You can target a specific area as well with like a 15-mile radius, or whatever kind of radius you want to set up right here. So just like with any ads, I don't want you guys to feel discouraged. It's just making sure that you're aware of how to actually approach that and start making sense of it all.
It was really nice when you could do a mile ad or less.
Yeah, that was super nice.
Then I was getting leads in Mountain Bridge only, and now you can't do that anymore.
Right, you can't zoom in as much.
You can't do that anymore. So your ad has to be more general to make up for the 15-mile minimum radius.
But what you could do with that is you could create an ad, and then later on you could create a post like what Kay and Virgil do, and you can check into a specific area or start using hashtags. So that way, again, you're working the system from both fronts and really making yourself be exposed, because people that are going to be engaging with you on either way will automatically start seeing those other ones.
Oh, if you put in the hashtags?
Yep. So you can use hashtags to be more specific as well. So this is between home purchase and previous residents. So all buyers 28 and younger. This kind of just shows you the disbursement on miles. So it kind of just gives you guys different ideas as far as who to market towards. Additional interest. I don't know, Eric, if you use this, but this was huge for me. Additional interest, what it does is Facebook tracks websites that you go to. I know that that's not news to anyone, but most consumers don't know that. So if for additional interest on people that you're trying to attract, if you start typing in house hunting, Zillow, real estate, homes.com, realtor.com, then those people kind of get redirected to your ads. And that's where I've seen agents have a ton of success, because Zillow and Realtor and all this, they're these faceless giants. People like to work with people. They like to go shopping with friends. They don't like to be sold things. So that's where we could start posting photos in that ad for you guys, specifically your faces or things that you can do to help, or client testimonies and things like that. And that's usually where I start seeing that big engagement rate, is because people really look at you guys specifically as the advisor of everything and that real estate transaction. So that's where, if we keep that spotlight on you, I really feel like this is a great option for people, specifically you guys as agents, because you're so relevant. And right now, with all this going on, I think that it gives us some opportunities to direct how we market. So here's some more examples of the additional interest: house hunting, Redfin, Trulia, Zillow. If someone's looking for an agent, these are all the pre-templated things that Facebook is looking for. So you could type in your own, but it's automatically going to show you like the most popular searches. You can choose to edit and do specific ad placement, or you can let Facebook do its own thing with its algorithm. It is recommended that you let Facebook do its own thing. You can have your daily budget or a lifetime budget. I love these different options that we can have now.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people really love this carousel ad. And that's where, when you're swiping, it's multiple, like it shows right here, 1, 2, 3. You can have multiple on there. So you can have like local experts, and then you could have something like with the mountains or something like that. And then you could have the call to action on the last one for them to call you or something like that. So that way it's showing like, oh my gosh, like Donna was so awesome. She helped me find a first time house, you know. And then, did you guys know that Mesa is one of the fastest growing cities in the area, blah, blah, blah. Quality of life is so good. Look how pretty the Superstition Mountains are. These are supposed to be mountains right here. And then if you're interested in learning more about why you should make Mesa your home, feel free to reach out to me or register here on my website. And then this is where you could do HomeBot for your call to action. Because if they do HomeBot, keep in mind that your phone number and your contact info is on every single piece that they get. So that's a great and easy conversion method, because they're not directly having to give you that information or call you. They can put it into HomeBot and it's something of worth. And we already know that that has a high conversion ratio. So then once they're interested, they can call you, and you also will see when they register. So you can track their engagement. And that's where I feel like this is a really good setup for us right now. Here's an example of what it would look like. So with the call to action, this is where we could plug in HomeBot. You could also, like Donna, like I was talking about your flyover videos with the drone, you could do that if you wanted to ever. I think that those videos would look really good. Or if any of you guys have good videos of just local vibes, whether that's outdoor life or something downtown or anything like that with restaurants, I think that this is a good option for that. That's not loading, that's okay. So custom audience and retargeting. So this is pretty advanced, but this is where keeping in that Facebook ad community really, really helps over time. So it is smart to kind of think of this all from the long game, because with retargeting, it's going to use whatever information that the client has as far as where they browse and stuff like that, and keep them coming back to seeing ads from you until you can finally get that conversion. Let's see. So Pixel. This is like what I was talking about earlier, where it tracks if they've gone to Zillow or anything like that. You know, when you go online and you look at like a new pair of Nikes, and then it's like every website you go to, there's that pair of Nikes. That's a pixel. And so Facebook has that data too. And it's a great, easy way for us to market to people. That's okay, Donna. Thanks so much. I'll post this class for us, okay? Have a good one. So this is a good chance for us to be able to remarket to people. Really, really easy on something that we already know what they're interested in. So that's where it's important that we input those keywords like first-time home buyer or grant or veteran or something like that. So that way we can start using those. Special ad audience. Once we've done that, this is what the Facebook Ads Manager looks like to show us what the actual engagements were on those ads. So that way we would actually know what's performing well and what's not performing well. You can also click demographics and placement to see what all is going on. So if you need to keep tweaking things, which with any kind of advertising that you do, this is a really good opportunity for us to be able to see that. You can see the budget that they did here daily and what it ended up being. You don't have to spend that kind of money. Obviously, the more you do spend, the higher your results. But to just get started out, I seriously only did like $10 here and there, where I was still spending less than $100 a month. Responding is super important. I feel like we all know that. If you guys don't have time to respond, you can always hire someone to respond for you, or have some sort of an automated bot to respond, just to kind of hold a conversation until you can get there. Eric, I'm sure that you have some sort of a plan like this as well already, like a follow-up plan. So basically text, call, email, call is what they're suggesting. And then day 2 is just text and call. Day 4, just email. And this is kind of like just a pattern to follow. And then Total Expert, we won't even need to go into right now. And then these are just more examples of Facebook ads. So we could do something similar to this, and then just add in the HomeBot link for your guys' website. So that way when they click learn more, it automatically asks them to enroll for HomeBot, like this conversion page is doing here. I think that HomeBot is a lot better tool than just having someone register to see a listing. So get clear on what you want for your ads, leverage your interests, create a custom audience and retarget. That is, to me, that's where specifically the best money is spent. Have a lead follow process and leverage the technology to help you. So next time we can go over specifically creating custom audiences for real estate. And really that's it for Facebook ads. I know that was a lot of data. So we can go over next week on like a workshop, or maybe the week after that, depending on what you guys want to do for creating specifically those ads. So that way we can work on that. Or you guys are always welcome to set up a one-on-one with me to where we could go on that just over a Zoom call and set that up to where we could start exploring what works well. And there's tons of different ways that we can do some research in the market for what works well. So that's it. Do you guys have any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you guys. If anyone needs anything, just let me know and we'll go from there, okay?
All right,
Thanks, Rob.
Thanks guys, it's good seeing you all. Bye.
Bye-bye.